Welcome to this B3 bands demonstration. You know, many of you may have looked online and seen that there's multiple choices now for BFR bands, and you're probably wondering, why should I choose B3 bands? Well, this is the presentation for you. It's going to help you decide which are the best bands out there for your use and your benefit. And all bands are not the same. We're going to talk about 4 categories during this presentation. Straps and wraps. If you look on my right arm over there, or right side of the picture, excuse me, my left arm, you'll see those are straps and wraps. On the left side, my right arm, those are pneumatic bands, meaning they have an air chamber. Third category is R band, which is multiple air chambers or multiple air bladders, very different. And then we have a fourth category, expensive pneumatic bands. And here's the questions you should ask yourself as you evaluate which BFR band or device is best for you. Number one, most important, can you even get it on by yourself? I'm going to show you some shocking video of how difficult it is, if not impossible, to get these on by yourself. Next most important, would you even leave it on? Is it comfortable? Does it pinch? Does it create friction when you move your arm or leg? Third, and very important, is it elastic versus non-elastic, which will lead to whether or not it occludes blood flow. You see, a blood pressure cuff is non-elastic. You do not want to put bands on that are non-elastic that can potentially occlude. All this leads to effective. If you can't get it on, if it's not comfortable, if it occludes blood flow, it cannot be effective because you're not going to use it and use it correctly. And finally, only one set of bands is waterproof, washable, has a money-back guarantee, and comes with a warranty. All things that are important in your decision of purchasing bands. Let's start with the first category. You'll get to see these when we demonstrate them. These are straps and wraps. These are basically nylon, almost like rubber bands, no air pockets. They're going to have a hard buckle or hard clamp on it to hold it down on your arm in most cases. And most common places these are used, and really the only place we see these being used is by bodybuilders. Second category. These are the pneumatic air chambers. Pneumatic means use air, meaning you have to pump it up like a blood pressure cuff. These range from $179 all the way up to $999. Some of them are elastic, some of them are rigid. Obviously, elastic is much better. They all have an air chamber, and they all require a pump. Our category. Ours are a pneumatic band, but they are using multiple air bladders. Very different, and we'll explain that here in a few minutes. They are elastic, meaning when you put them on and pump them up, they get shorter, which is very important for comfort, safety, and effectiveness, and they use a pump. And finally, the fourth category, we won't spend a lot of time on these because these are what we would call the expensive pneumatic devices. Certainly nothing bad to say about them other than they're really not practical for personal use. $2,300 training needed for KATSU system. $5,000 must be certified for the Delphi system. These are commonly used by rehab practitioners in rehab settings. And again, if you're looking for your own personal set of bands, these really are not practical, so we will not spend a lot of time on them. Okay, before we go to the video and I show you a demonstration, remember, can you get them on by yourself? Are they comfortable? Are they elastic versus non-elastic, which affects how much they cut off blood flow? We do not want to occlude blood flow. All this leads to effective. Would you be able to use these and use them effectively? And we'll come back and talk about the only set of bands that are waterproof, washable, guaranteed, and have a 6-month warranty. Okay, Dr. Mike here. We're going to go into our demonstration. We're going to start with the straps that you commonly see in bodybuilding. One thing you're going to notice right away with these is they have a hard buckle on them, and these can be very uncomfortable, and they're very difficult to get on by yourself. So you can see first I'm going to get it up in place, but the problem is I only have one hand here. So if I can do it, I can release that clamp and crank it down. Now, ow, to get that, I just pinched my skin. You can see there's a lot of danger here with pinching. I want to show you that right there. That's creating a lot of friction and a lot of pinching. Now, it's going to get an effective blood flow restriction, but this is very uncomfortable, I can tell you. I would not want to leave this on very long, and I'm probably going to risk a chance of bruising my muscle or skin there. So, and also very difficult to get off, but I'm going to effectively get it off. So that's these three types with the hard buckles. Here's another type of strap that's a little easier. It has a clamp on it, which does make it easier to get on. Now this is a thin strap or thin band. And what we've got going on here is you can see real quick the pinching that goes on. Because there isn't an air chamber, I really have to crank this down to get blood flow restriction. I want you to see what's happening to my skin right there. If you look up close, I'm already pinching the skin. I can tell you this is very uncomfortable. It's like having a very tight rubber band. Next, I have no idea what the tightness is versus using a pneumatic band, meaning I didn't pump it up to 200. I have no way of knowing, hey, next time should I work out at 250 or work out at 150. So this is going to be very tough for me to get this effective with each use. So that's our straps and rack type bands. Let's go over to our pneumatic bands. We're going to put this one on in a second, but I can show you this one. This one you'll see commonly on the internet. I can tell you this is impossible to get on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time other than I think you can kind of figure out what I'm trying to do here with get that on. I'm just not going to be able to get it on. We're going to come back and show you a demonstration because this is a rigid one which can actually cut off blood supply. Here's a new one that's popped up. This set of bands is about 300, similar to ours, and has the Velcro and the neoprene here. It's much less sturdy. It's very flimsy, but I'll show you what happens here when I try and put it on. I'm going to have a real tough time getting it on and getting it cranked down. See, that's not going to be a good snug fit. So it would take me a while to get this into the right position, and then you'll notice this right here. When I was using it earlier, this part of the band slips when I'm moving around and I lose good blood flow restriction. So although I can get this one on, it's not going to have a good chance of staying in place, and it's very flimsy. Next we got the Katsu band. This is a great band. This is the one that came out of Japan. Problem with these is it's difficult to get it on. It takes a lot of practice, and there's two straps here for getting it on. So you can see I have to use both arms, and I can then eventually get it on, okay? And then I've got this big tube here that's sticking out, but I can get effective blood flow resistance with this band, but it's going to feel a little different. It's a single chamber. Again, these are very good bands, but that's going to squeeze because it's an individual air chamber. But again, effective bands, these are the ones that cost over $2,000. Now let's show you why we like these bands so much. Number one, easy to get on, okay? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the band up. All I have to do is get it in the right position between the biceps and deltoid, squeeze my arm against there, strap it down. Takes me 3 seconds to get that band on, okay? Next, when we put it on, because of the design of our band, we only get it snug. It does not have to be creating any blood flow restriction. It's the actual pumping up of these multiple chambers that's going to create the blood flow restriction. So that's very comfortable. I got no pinching of the skin. I got no friction of my muscle as it goes through. Okay, we're back. We're going to show you a demonstration of a non-elastic band versus the elastic B3 band. First of all, I could not get this one on. Big Mike had to apply it. But I want to show you what's going to happen as I pump this up. As I get to 180, this is a very intense squeeze. Feels like a blood pressure cuff, but I still have a pulse. If I go a little bit higher, there I'm about 210, I've lost my pulse. So I would have to make sure I understand how to use this to not occlude. But let's take this down to about 140, and I can tell you that's very uncomfortable. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on here for a second so I can demonstrate for you the other band, which is B3. Easily goes on. You can see I've got that on very quickly. Push the pump in. Okay, I'm going to pump it to the recommended pressure of about 200, and I've got a great pulse going on there. How do we know these are safe? I'm going to pump that all the way up to 500, okay? And I've still got a pulse pumping in. Why? Because this is elastic and has the multiple air chambers. It's not acting like a tourniquet, which is very dangerous like the other band. So this shows this is safe and comfortable. Even at 500, I don't have a lot of friction here. Certainly there's no need to work out at 500, but I'm still safe and can use the bands. This one pumped up to 140 is very uncomfortable. I get to 200 and it cuts off blood supply. Okay, now that we've seen this demonstration of the 8 different bands that we compared, here's the questions you should be able to answer now. Number 1, can you get them on by yourself? And as you saw, it was very difficult with most of these bands. Number 2, are they comfortable? Once you get them on, are you going to keep them on, or are they pinching and creating friction? And for safety reasons, are they elastic or non-elastic? Because as we saw, non-elastic bands that function like tourniquets can cut off blood supply. We never want to do that, which all leads to, are you going to be able to get a fun and effective BFR workout? And then finally, there's only one company out there that has bands that are waterproof, washable, guaranteed, and come with a warranty. You should have learned this. As you watch with these straps, most of them are very difficult to put on. When I do get them on, it feels like an intense squeeze and even some pinching, completely different than how the B3 bands feel. I think most important, once you get into doing blood flow resistance training, you need to be able to measure your results compared to how tight the bands are or how much air you put in them, because everybody will work out at different numbers. My fiance goes to 450 on her legs. I go to 375. But she was able to do that, and I was able to find my perfect number by having bands that are consistent and that we can measure by the amount of air we put them in. And none of these bands that I purchased and have tested or demonstrated have a money-back guarantee or warranty. So these just are not applicable, in my opinion, to any adult fitness exercise, and certainly not into our youth and senior population. And then the pneumatic air chamber bands. The 3 I showed you, very difficult to put them on. I doubt any of you could get those on by yourself. One of them cut off blood supply very easily. We want to stay away from that. The other band was a single bladder and is very thin material. You certainly aren't going to be able to swim in it. It's probably going to wear out a lot quicker. And I had a very difficult time putting it on. Once I did get these on, these feel more like a squeeze. Remember, these are a single air chamber that squeezes your arm to affect blood flow restriction as compared to what you'll see on the next screen. First of all, look at the picture over on the right. That is when the bladders are filled up, and you can very easily see the independent air bladders. Now, what's the purpose of this? Well, before that band, B3 band is pumped up, it's measuring 4 inches across. Once I pumped it up, it's down to about 3.5 inches. So it's this elastic shortening of the band when it gets pumped up, plus the pressure coming from not being a complete squeeze, the multiple air bladder, that effectively and comfortably and safely does a great job at blood flow resistance, and it stays in place. Once you get it down snug and pump it up, you're going to be able to swim in it, run in it, downhill ski in it, do household chores in it, and it's not going to pinch or cause friction. And it's really this unique design, especially this patented air bladder design, that makes these easy to apply, comfortable, elastic, effective, waterproof, and washable. And these are the only bands out there that have the warranty and the 14-day money-back guarantee. And with our bands, if you are not completely satisfied, meaning anything goes wrong with them in the first 6 months, anything wears out, anything breaks, any defects, we will replace it. And finally, 14-day money-back guarantee. From 14 days from the day you get these bands, if you're not satisfied, unlike a lot of these other bands when you have to send them back new condition or resaleable, you send them back, we're going to refund your money, because we understand you need 14 days to give these a try. So if you're not completely satisfied, B3 will give you your money back. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that B3 bands are the leader in BFR technology. I hope these videos shared with you the information you need to make an educated decision to get the best bands for you.